Hey guys, what is up? This is Mr. A. Crizzy here, and in tonight's horror movie review, this review is going to be on the 2019 horror movie, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, or Scary Stories for short. So, Scary Stories was released in August of 2019, and so in this movie, we follow the shadow of the Billows family that has been loomed large in a small town of Mill Valley for generations. It's in a mansion that young Sarah Bellows turns her tortured life and horrible secrets into a series of scary stories. And so these terrifying tales soon have a way of becoming all too real for a group of unsuspecting teens who stumble upon Sarah's spooky home. And yeah, that's pretty much, the basic plot of, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. So, yeah. I remember when this movie first came out, during my 20th birthday month in August of 2019. I remember hearing decent films about this film when it first came out, and I think I also remember when I was doing auditorium checks and checking the auditorium and checking on the moviegoers watching the film. I think I remember seeing I do remember seeing scenes from this movie, like when I was working at the movie theater doing auditorium checks, and yeah, I did hear some pretty decent things about this film, but I actually never watched it until just now, because I actually just got done watching this movie on Peacock, and yeah, and since it's Halloween season, I gave this movie a watch, and I'm gonna have to say, I thought this was actually a really amazing, fantastic, awesome horror movie. And yeah, sure, and by that I mean this movie is very enjoyable in my opinion. I actually enjoyed it, and yeah, and that's what it is. So, what I like most about this movie is that I think this movie was actually inspired by a series of books, as far as I remember, and I think critics, on the other hand, praise this movie for being true to the source material. And I think I also remember when I was doing research about Scary Stories, I think I remember there was also an old TV show about it. And yeah, I did hear about the TV show when I was doing research on the internet on Wikipedia. And yeah, and so when the 2019 movie was released, I heard some decent things, and like I said, after watching it, this was actually an awesome film. And not just awesome. I feel like since it's already been 6 years since this movie came out, I feel, because when I look around social media about horror movie fans talking about films like other horror films, I don't think I've seen any horror fan talk about this movie all that much, because I feel like Scary Stories is probably one of the most underrated horror films to come out in 2019. It's kind of like the two other underrated horror films, in my opinion, Brightburn and Doctor Sleep, because I feel like Doctor Sleep deserves so much better, because Doctor Sleep was actually one of the best horror films to come out in 2019, and that horror movie deserves so much better. Because not a lot of moviegoers went and saw Doctor Sleep, and Doctor Sleep was just so underrated, an underrated sequel to The Shining. And Brightburn, I think, is also pretty good too. And as for this movie is also one of the most underrated horror films to come out in 2019. And I think when it comes to the special effects in a couple scenes in this film, the special effects I thought were pretty cool, and yeah, there are some jump scares here and there, and they were handled well. Jump scares and jump shocks, and yeah. But yeah, when I first heard about this movie, I thought this was an R-rated film, but then looking back on this film before watching it, it's actually PG-13 rated, which, although some scenes in this movie kind of felt more like this movie would have been R-rated. But you never know. Sometimes they can get away with certain over the top scenes in a PG-13 rated film. And I gotta say, the cast members all do a good job in this film. Austin Abrams played Tommy Milner in this film. Because Austin Abrams played Tommy in this film. And Austin Abrams was actually the same guy who was recently in this new horror movie from Zach Cregger, Weapons. Yeah. Weapons is so far my favorite horror film of the year. And everyone else did a pretty good job in this film, and And the music too is actually pretty cool too, and it's like suspenseful and scary. And one of the composers to this film, like this Anna composer, I think she's actually the same composer who scored the recent horror films Barbarian and of course Sting. Sting's the one with the spider in it. And yeah, and I gotta say, I easily enjoyed almost everything about this film. Although the pacing itself was kind of like, it was But it's not really that long of a film. It's only like an hour and 47 minutes. And the title card doesn't even show up until right when the closing credits start, which I know that's a common thing for movies, but yeah. Sometimes I like it most when the title appears at the beginning. Like even when there's no opening credits, or you know. Yeah, and of course this movie also got like 78%. Like 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is good. 72% from the audience, which is not bad. And I think I did some research. I think during the COVID year in April of 2020, they said they were planning on making a sequel to this movie, which I think a sequel is currently in development. But so far we haven't really heard anything regarding it. So, but even if a sequel does happen, I guess it might be worth checking out, but you never know. And of course, this movie is currently streaming on Peacock for Halloween season. I watched it on Peacock. It's also on Tubi for free as well, but for me, I watched it on Peacock, so that's good. So overall, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It was an awesome, underrated 2019 horror movie, and I'm gonna give Scary Stories 4.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, if you haven't watched this movie yet, then I say I recommend it. And there you have it, guys. That's going to be it for my movie review on Scary Stories. Hope you guys liked it. And with that being said, thanks for watching as always. And if you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And also make sure to like this video as well. With that being said, until next time, this is Mr. A. Crizzy saying goodbye, everybody, and that's about it.